Hey guys, it's Maymay, and you might have remembered that we got these nativity sets in a while back, and I promised I would do one for you on camera, and a lot of you guys picked them up, so today's the day. So it comes with all of the pieces to go with the nativity set, and I mean, you could do so many different things, like so many color schemes, so many ways of finishing it. You could do it with paint, uh, you could distress it, all kinds of stuff. What I'm going to do, because I like paper, is try to do it with this pack. This is the Silent Night pack, which you guys also bought us out of. So I'm going to attempt to do this with this paper pack. And there's a whole lot of really good papers in here, but I really like this piece right here. And I know there's a star right there, but I think this would be pretty if it was the inside of my manger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to trace this on the back. Let me see. I want to see if I can do it that way, but I think I need to trace it something like this. And I want to get as much of that star in as I can. So I'm going to go as far over as I can. And this is not going to be perfect because it's a little smaller on the inside, but I'm going to see if I can get it kind of cut down to it. So this is going to be one of those projects that just hang on for the ride because I don't really know where it's going. I know I want to do it with paper as much as I can. I don't know. I might bring in paint at some point. I really don't know. I just thought I'm going to jump off and see what we get. So let me cut this shape out. So here's the piece I cut, and I don't think it's going to fit in here. I feel like it's going to be way too wide because of the width of the wood, and it's kind of hard to see the width, but I can see it right here. What I'm going to do is put my ruler on it in this window. That is a little over 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is cut off a little more than 1/4 inch on both sides and the bottom, and I may still have to do a little more trimming, but I'm just going to work my way into that spot. You guys know how I do this. I just kind of a little at a time. So let's do about this much from this side. And let me try it. I'm just going to keep trying in case my measurements are wrong, because that felt like it was pretty close. All right, let's do some more on the other side, because I don't want to make a huge gap. I'd rather make several cuts. See, that's pretty close right there. That's real close. Just a little bit off of one side. I'm bending this paper up pretty good doing this, but it'll be all right because we're going to glue it in. Let's take a little bit more off of this side. See what that does for us. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. See that? And then what I need to do, and what I can do, is I can press this down in and see where I need to cut it off. And I might even just want to wrap it around. I think I can cut that off. It'll be fine. Let's take that out and cut it off. And again, I know I'm covering up that hole in the back, but I just think this is so pretty and it'll look like it was custom. And we'll probably just cover the back anyway to cover up that whole piece. So will this now fit? Let's see. Very good. Isn't that pretty in the background like that? I think that looks really good. So I need to decide what I'm going to do on these side panels. I think it would look good to have the same paper, and I have enough left. I think I do. So let's see if we can cover the side panels as well. So I measured the width by putting my ruler here, and I got 3 5/8 by doing that. Now I'm going to take this ruler and lay it in here and get an estimate. That's almost 6 inches. And let me do this, because it's hard to get under there, but I feel like it's about like that. That's like 6 1/4. I'm going to cut this down to 6 1/4 and see how it fits. Because again, I can always trim it down more. Now I had to get into the other piece. I did not have enough of the last piece we used, so I did have to cut into that other piece. But I still have plenty of that one left for another project. So let's see if this works. Oh, that is so close. So close. So what I'm going to do is trim off a little bit more. So I got my 2 side pieces to put in. For the top, I have a piece that is the right height. It's already the 3 5/8. I'm going to put this in and measure by just pressing and seeing where that lands to know what size to cut it. And then I can cut 2 of them to this size. Interestingly enough, I think I might have started with the hardest part, which is good. Getting inside of there is pretty hard. The rest is going to be on the outside. So I need to cut 1 more piece this size. What did we end up doing here? This one is right at 4. And I'll cut this one at 4. And again, if I need to shave any off, it's the same process over and over till we get it right. And those worked out pretty well. There's a little bit showing, a little bit of the wood showing at the top center, but I can always cut a piece and lay in there, and that'll be fine. So I'm going to take these out and glue them in. So I just realized something. I forgot to cut that little window out, but that's not a big deal. I can do this with my pen blade. You might want to go ahead and put the piece in and then trace that spot and cut that out before you glue it in. I'm not going to. I'm just going to use my pen blade and see how it turns out. I think it'll be all right, actually. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I know I covered the star in the back, but I do want to keep those side windows because it'll put light in. I also have an idea for, I've got some little creaks and crevices showing. Like there's, I don't know if you can tell this, but there's a little bit of raw wood sticking out here that's not sticking out here. I think I got an idea for covering that up. Let me get the top up inside here covered. Now I want to cover the floor. I think I know what I want to do there. I kind of want it to feel like hay. And let me show you this color of cardstock. This pattern feels very kind of sand and hay to me. So that's what I'm going to put on the bottom. So I just need to measure it here. And it's going to be right at 3 7/8 by 7 3/8. Okay, 3 7/8 by 7 3/8. And you'll want to measure your own, okay? Because every one of these are going to be a little different because they're wood. So make sure you do. So 3 7/8 is here. Yeah, so just make sure you measure each time you put something down. Don't go by my measurements because when it's wood, sometimes they're different. And then 7 3/8. And this may be a little bit big, but I'd rather it be too big than too small. So let's just see. Yep, it's a little bit snug, so I need to cut a tiny bit off of both sides. I could feel some hanging over the edge too. Before I move my trimmer again. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. All right, I'm going to glue that one down. So you remember how I told you I was going to knock back some of that raw wood that's showing here and some of the pieces on the inside? See how it's not perfect in there? So this is French Navy from Nouveau, the creative markers. I'm going to use it and just go in there between and just knock back that color by just coloring in there. And I think that will kind of, it'll knock it back enough that it doesn't stand out. So I haven't even done a great job there, but it's already kind of taken that color back. And if you wanted to, you could do an even darker navy. I think this is the darkest one I have from my creative markers. I could dig into the spectrum, but this is going to work. All right, so anywhere I have those little raw wood pieces showing that I'm not going to be able to cover with paper, I'm going to hit with my marker here. You could do this with paint. If you had some navy paint, you could always do that, but I love to use my paper crafting supplies for home decor. So not perfect, but it knocked it back pretty good. You can see some of my mistakes and stuff, but it's honestly, when it's standing up, you can't see those at all. So I'm not going to stress about it. I think it needed that little touch and we've done it. Okay, now what I'm going to work on, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut these windows out here while I'm at this point. And you're going to have to be careful because you don't want to push the piece out altogether. So I'm just going to make a few easy passes to get me through the paper. And then I can let my blade do the work after that. So you see, I just had to get through the paper and then I can just let the blade kind of work. Now those edges are rough, but I'm going to take my nail file and finish those off and smooth them out. But I'm not going to do it till I cover this side because I feel like I'm going to need to do it there too. So why do it twice? Let's just do the work one time, all at one time. So I'm going to leave those like that. Now let's decide what we're going to cover the outside with. So my plan is to come back at the end and shred paper and glue it on here to look like hay, which I think is going to work fine, but I may need to color this. So I think what I'll do is just leave this alone for now and go ahead and do the roof. So here's what I'm thinking for the roof. I love this brown color. I think I'm going to do the outside in the brown because that makes sense to me for a manger. So let's measure this dude. So this is 4 by 5 1/4 and a little more, almost 5 3/8. So I need to do 10 1/4 and 3/8. I need to do about, let's do 11 inches and I can cut off the difference. How about that? So I tell you what, we'll just cut this 12-inch piece down. And that's what I'll do. So I'll cut this down to 4. And then I will lay it over the top here. So we've got the width right. I'll lay it over the top. And then I'll line up one end, so I only have to cut one side. Let's get that on there good. And then I will make a pencil mark here so I know where to trim it. As little precision measuring as I have to do as possible. All right, now what I'm going to do is fold this in half. And you could score it and do all that stuff. I think I'm just going to fold it in half and crease it so I get a nice roof top. These kinds of projects are fun. Like, they don't have to be You don't have to really go all out. You know what I'm saying? Just cover with paper and it's going to look pretty when it's done. And you don't have to worry too awful much about perfection, because you can let the little manger look rustic, because wouldn't it be anyway? The little stable and everything would be very rustic. So I'm going to stick this on top and glue it down. Slide that into place. And I plan to come back and ink the edges. So anywhere where I'm a little shy, anywhere, I'll cover that up anyway. I didn't quite get glue all the way to the edge here. I'm going to make sure I do. And then down here, see where I'm a little shy? I'm going to ink that. My plan is to ink it. If I don't ink it, I'll just use a marker and do that same marker trick. Wow, that was fast. The whole top is covered. Okay, I'm going to do the sides in the same color. So I've decided to trace this one, to trace the side. So what I'm going to do is place this piece here, and then I'm going to turn it over. That was a little bit big, but it'll be all right. I'm going to turn it over like this, and I'm going to put my pencil in there. Look, you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to do a rough trace. Remember, I'm not looking for perfect, because I'm going to come back with my nail file and make it perfect. So let me cut that out, and if that works, I'll use it to match the other one too. I'll just trace it. And what I'm going to do here is poke a hole. Cutter bees are good for this because they're so sharp. And then I'm just going to cut up to it. I'll show you guys a trick for how I do this, okay? So I cut up to it there. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to cut up to the line here. I do this to give myself a little bit of wiggle room on the inside. Just cut to the line, and then I'm going to cut to the line. And I'll still have to come back and cut all these out. But now I can get in there because I've made myself like an expander room or something like that. So now that I've made all these little expander cuts, I can come right beside one and get in there and start making my cuts. So there's one, and then I can come over here, make this one. Then I can go up the side. So that gets that out of the way, and then I'll keep going. I've always kind of done that expander cut situation. I don't know why. I think it's just to get it out of my way as I'm going through. All right, it's time to glue these guys on. So I'm just going to run some glue and stick them down. Okay, again, I'll clean that out later, but now I'm going to cover the back. And this will be pretty easy because I can trace this and get it pretty accurate. And let me show you what I think I'm going to use. Normally, I don't like to put paper that I love on the back, but let me show you this. So this is the same piece we've been using. I'm going to use this later as well, but I love this image. And I think it would be so pretty on the back of this guy. Even though most people won't see the back, we still may put it on a bookshelf or something where you can see the back. And I think this would be pretty back there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay this guy down like so. And then we're going to trace this guy on all the way over and all the way to the top. So I don't waste any paper or make any cuts I really don't need to make. So because this is right at the edge and that's right at the top, I can get a good, easy cut. Look at that. Isn't that going to look good there? All right, just a little bit tall. It's just a tiny bit hanging off down here. And actually what I think I want to do, I think I want to cut off this 1/4 of an inch at the top and this 1/4 of an inch at the bottom so I can make this piece show. I have a plan for this and I kind of want that to show. So let me see how I can do that and get exactly what I'm looking for. Let's try the ruler and pencil method. So I've got this pushed all the way to the top. I'm going to lay this down here and I'm going to trace what needs to go away here. So that little bit there, and then I'm going to turn it and trying to get a pretty straight line here, just eyeballing, trace that, and then turn it and trace here. There we go. Now I'm going to cut that away so it'll kind of inset. That may not make a lot of sense right now, but it will in just a second. Let me scoot all this out of the way so you guys aren't looking at my mess. Bring this guy back over. My plan is for it to be right underneath that ridge at the top. See that ridge right there? And to be right above this ridge at the bottom. Because like I said, I want to treat those differently. So that looks really cool, right? I'm going to glue that down. And I'm not going to be cutting that star out. That's why I wanted that blue paper on the inside, because I wanted it to show off the star on the paper. So that star is going to get covered up. We're going to act like it was never there. It won't hurt my feelings at all. Now I'm noticing a little hangover right here. See that little strip? I'm going to take my pen blade and try to cut that away. Because if I tried to nail file it right now, it might tear off the other paper on the other side, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to see if I can get it at least started with the pen blade. I should have paid attention to the width, but I got excited because I could do that inlay. Okay, so that is the back. Look how easy that was. That was not hard at all. Let's do the nail file trick in here. So let me show you what this is if you've not seen me do it. If you take a nail file, anywhere that your paper is not flush to the wood, you can just file this with your nail file and it will make it literally flush and it'll get rid of any excess. Something I want to caution you on is don't do an in and out motion because this paper is glued down. If you do, you take a chance of ripping it on the way back out. So you see how I'm just pushing in? That's what you want to do. So now for something that you might not want to do, okay? If you don't want to do this, think about paint or think about ink or something like that. But every time I see these little pieces right here, I just want them brown. So I'm going to take my Nuvo marker, but I want to tell you something. I'm not going to use my bullet end. I'm going to use this bigger end on the bottom. I never use this tip. I don't know when I would ever use it. So if it gets a little damaged, it's not going to be the end of the world. I want to use this end and I want to color all of this end. And the cool thing is you can pick out what color you want it to be because your markers, you can, you could do this and then even lay another color over. But this wood, if long as you color with the grain, you see why I'm going sideways? Because the grain is sideways here. If you will color with the grain, it really won't mess your markers up. And what it's doing is it's kind of sucking that ink in and it really looks good. So again, I'm not going to use my bullet point. There might be some places I use it to touch inside of there, but this chisel nib I never use, so it won't hurt anything. And I'll get that dark brown color. See, that's pretty. It looks like stained wood. I like it. You might also be concerned about how much ink I'm using doing this. Honestly, this brown is not a color I use a lot. Not really going to bother me here. Think like that. Maybe you have a brown Sharpie or something you could do it with if you don't want to do it with your good markers. Look how beautiful that looks. I'm even going to do it on this edge. A pretty color. By the way, this color is Shorethorn. Shorethorn brown. Helps when you read something right way up. Okay, so there's the front. I'm going to do the window seals as well with the same color. And I'm going to have to be careful here because it's hard to go with the grain. But I think the color should match. And I don't want to slip and get my paper. So if you're watching this all the way through and you're thinking, I want to watch this and see where she messes up first, you could always do this before you put your paper down. It's not hurting anything though. It's really kind of cleaning my paper up and making the edge look good. So I'm just going to run around and do the insides of the windows. All right, so the windows are done. And now I'm going to do, remember I told you I wanted to do these edges up here different? I'm going to do them as well. And again, I'm going to have to be super careful. This grain goes in the right direction, which is cool. I may use this whole marker. I don't know. It's still doing really well. I'm not having any issues with it. I just think it looks so pretty. And you could totally ink this. If I were going to ink it, I would do it before this point. I would do it from the beginning. But y'all know I usually start a project and go start to finish without knowing what I'm doing. And this is working well. Okay, so you can see here, I've done those edges. I've done the back. The cool thing is anywhere you see a little spot that doesn't get colored well, you just come right back over it. And I think this marker's doing a good job. It also, if you lean it up a little bit, I told you how I had a little bit of that white edge showing? See how I did that? I just kind of took care of it just like that, almost like I had inked it, but I'm not having to ink. Pretty cool, right? So since I did that edge, I better do this edge. I still may come back and use some ink on it. We'll see. All right, now on the back side, can you see that raw edge? I'm going to color it as well. The long pieces here up the side are not going to get treated with paper, these strips, but I'm going to use paper on the hay because I'm going to try to mimic three-dimensional hay with paper. So you guys, to make the paper look seamless, like it goes right into the wood, I came back and ran a little bit of marker around everywhere it kind of touches wood, and it really does make a difference. Like, for example, see on the top here where it touches that wood? I'm just going to lay my marker on and off of it, and see how that just kind of, oh, you couldn't really see it, but it just kind of ties it into each other. And it might be a not so much needed step, but I think it really does something. Like we did here on the edge. So let me do that, and look at my hand. Because anywhere it's tight, I use the bullet tip. So in here, I'm going to do the same thing. Just run that marker to get some color to the paper. And run it to get some color to the paper. And I really think that ties everything in. Here's a good spot. See this one? Let's run this down here, and you'll see. See how it just pulls the paper into the project? I think that's awesome. Okay, let's check this side. Let's do around the windows better. Okay, I think I'm going to color this with my marker and then decide about the hay. What I was thinking about doing was taking some of that paper we used anywhere that it would have been hay on here and cutting strips and gluing it on to look like straw. I don't know if I need it with this brown color, with this marker, which, by the way, this marker is a workhorse. It just keeps on going. I don't know that I'm going to need that with this color. I think it might cheapen the look because this feels like stained wood to me. And I'll still show you in case you like the idea, but I'm not sure I'm going to do it now. And we are definitely going to glitter up that star. Don't worry about that. Just get it all colored around it. Look how pretty that looks. It literally looks like we're staining it. It's so pretty, y'all. Changed my whole opinion of what I was going to do here. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll get started on a project, and it's really cool when it happens and it makes the project easier. That's really neat because I was literally going to cut paper in layers to put up here. And this marker is not hurt at all. It is still going strong. You know what else you could do if you didn't have a marker? I think you could use your re-inkers. Like if you had a brown re-inker, maybe put that onto like a piece of acetate and then use a cloth or something and maybe a cotton ball or something to rub it in. I think you could do that. And you could use actual stain if you had stain. This is not hard to do. Oh, that's so pretty, isn't it? I'm shocked how much that looks like a stain. I think it's because the wood grain is taking the ink and dragging, like smearing it away or smearing it around. And I think that's what's doing it. Well, that just made quick work. All right, I see a spot that I've missed here. If I come down here, I can see a little bit of a white edge. So I'm going to take this marker and run it along to kind of clean up that white edge. That looks brilliant. Here's some in the inside. So just look around. I had a little white edge there. Anywhere I've got the white core of the paper showing, I'm using the marker as if it were an ink, as if I were inking. Wow, that was pretty cool. I feel like I should put a little brown line right here. Don't judge me. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I just feel like it needs it there because I'm putting them everywhere else. Yeah, I think it just needed it. I don't know. I just felt like it did. Make these a little thicker to match it. I like it. Look at that, y'all. That is so cool. I'm in love with this guy. I'm actually liking it more than I thought I would. Isn't that interesting? Maybe I should do that same color. See, there's a little gap between those two. Let me open this up and use the bullet nib and go right down between these two pieces of paper and just clean that up. That's better. At least it's not as white as it was. Well, that's just cool. All right, since this marker works so well, I'm going to try another marker for the star to get our first initial color. So I'm feeling as though the two stars are redundant, but if you remember, there was a star in there already. So no matter what I did, I'd have had two stars unless I popped this one off. And I'm not really willing to see what happens if I pop that one off. So we're just going to do another star up here, and we're not going to worry about it. So this color is a much lighter color. This one is called Sweet Vanilla, but I thought it might go a little yellow, and it is. It's going a little bit yellow on the wood. So I think I'm just going to, I should be using the the chisel tip, by the way. I'm just going to color this with this Sweet Vanilla. And then when I'm done, I'm going to glitter it up. I brought two markers over because if I don't feel like this is yellow enough, I'm going to hit it with another yellow and let the two colors work. That's pretty. And it might be enough. I don't want it to be garish yellow. You know, I want it to be a subtle yellow. I think I'm going to stop there until I glitter and we'll see how it goes. Okay, that is the manger or the stable done. There's only one other thing I want to do, but I cannot do it here. And that is I want to cut a piece of felt for the bottom because I have some at home that I can cut and glue on here. Or if you don't have felt, if you have an old flannel shirt, if you have an old dishcloth or something like that you could just glue down here, no one will really see the bottom, but I don't want it to scratch any surfaces, so I'm going to do that. All right, let me show you what I was going to do. I'm totally not doing it. This is too pretty. So I was going to take this color paper and I was going to, and I'll do it here so you don't have to, I was going to make a bunch of little strips like this, right? and I was going to crinkle them up like this, and I was going to glue them around the top. And now I see the error of my ways. I'm glad I did not do that. All right, let's work on our little attendees of the manger. Is that right? Attendees? Yeah, let's do that. So you guys, I was going to cover these in paper. And the more I started doing it, the more I thought, I don't know, I think that these looked so pretty in the marker. I think the manger or the stable turned out so pretty with the marker that I decided to ink these. Look how this is, I mean, something about this wood takes this ink so well that it feels like stain. I'm really, really impressed. Now, I believe I will want to seal this. And I talked about sealing them last time. And I failed to mention the Tim Holtz media. I'll put the name in the screen because I can't remember what it's actually called. And I want to say we have some. If we don't, we can get it on order. But there's a media sealer that you can use. For me, when something's this large, I wouldn't necessarily use that one. I would just kind of lay these out on like a tablecloth and hit them with some clear sealant spray paint. That's what I would do. Do you see how beautiful these are looking? This ink on this wood, or any ink on this wood, makes it look like we have taken it out to the woodshed and stained it. Can you hear how impressed I am? Some of you are probably not as impressed as me, but I think that's incredible. And I think it's really stepping up this manger scene. I think it's going to look really elegant and not paper crafted at all. And honestly, my original plan was to cover these with paper. Look at that. This is such a prettier idea. So much better. So I'm going to cover all of these guys. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to be staining all of them. And I'm going to go with the grain. This grain goes in the other direction. I think that'll make them even more interesting if I let the grain show. You see how that grain just appears? Isn't that cool? Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And how easy, guys. And if you do it just right, you could even almost highlight and make light show. Like, for example, if you wanted the center to be lighter, just do it just like you were inking. So go around the edge with your darkest color. Maybe I want her back to be lighter, like this, the star was coming from her back. So we make her dark over here, and then we just kind of lightly, look at that. We can even make it look it's lit. That's cool. That is cool. I'm leaving her like that. Oh, don't forget to do the bottom. Now, again, if you don't seal this, you might not want to do the bottom because you don't want that to get on any of your surfaces at home. This is cool. All right, I'm going to go and ink all of these guys. You might want to use an old pad. This one is worn out. You might want to use an old pad for this because it does kind of catch in places, but you only have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, so it's not too bad. Look at that nastiness. That's okay. It's been fun. Be careful when you pick your manger up because now that you have paper on it, you're going to, you could stain it with your inky finger. So look, here's this. Let's just do this. And I'm going to lay them in. Look how gorgeous done in that stained finish. Oh my goodness. I think this is beautiful. Oh, that's not Joseph. Hold on, this is Joseph. I think this is beautiful. Now, I obviously would stand them up and have them more dimensional, but I want you to see how that looks. I can't get over it. I really can't. I sound like I'm super impressed with myself. I'm not. I'm impressed with how this wood took those markers. So here's this guy. He's our shepherd, and there's a cow, and here's a camel. Is that all my pieces? I felt like I had more. If I missed a piece, I'll ink it. I think that was all of them. I'm almost thinking I want to hit this with my walnut stain as well. I wasn't going to, but I think I'm going to just for a little texture. Just for a little difference here and there. See how that'll just kind of, oh, it's so pretty, y'all. So pretty. I'm a little afraid to glitter that star for fear it will take kind of the look away. Yeah, this is pretty. It's like velvet wood. So pretty. I gotta stop saying it because I'm getting a big head. Okay, so it's not me, it's the project. So when you stand this up and you put all your pieces around, just look how stunning. Okay, let's figure this guy out. So I have this Midas Touch pen that is from Nouveau. And I used an alcohol marker, so that shouldn't budge. If you do it with a distress ink, it's going to budge on you. It's going to move. But this should be fine. And this Midas Touch is gorgeous. And I have a habit of getting it started over on like a piece of plastic. I'm over here like squeezing this out. And then I'm going to paint this. And I do not think this is going to be too much. And the reason is you can layer this and make it as thick as you want. I don't want to pick up any of my distress ink. I just want that to live on there. It's so hard to see on camera, but I'm going to be heavy with it. And again, I would seal this. I would spray this. You could use Mod Podge, but honestly, I think I'd pick up some spray sealant, which by the way, if you're not going in stores right now, much like I'm not, you can get it on Walmart pickup. It's just a clear spray sealer. You could do it in matte finish. I wouldn't matte finish over the star because it'll take your glitter out, but I would totally spray this. Let's see if you can see that glitter. Barely a little. It's so hard to see on camera, but it's beautiful. Y'all, I think I'm going to glitter that too. Once you start, you can't stop. Glitter gloss. This is my glitter gloss, so it's the clear one. I'm going to get it started off to the side. What I mean by getting it started is I just squirt a little bit out to kind of get me going, and then let's just come in here and glitter this star. Just painting it in streaks. Pretty. That is still a little wet. When it dries, it'll look there. You can see that glitter pretty good. That's it, guys. I'm calling that done. I am very, very happy with it. I don't love the bottom. I've still got to cover the bottom with, you could cover it with paper. I think paper would be fine too. I think I'm going to cover it with a little bit of felt. And then I think I know exactly where this is going. I think this is going my downstairs landing table. I think this would be so pretty there. All right, guys, there is our nativity set. I'm going to stand this up where you can see the top, show you the back again. Isn't that cool? Y'all, this is going to be so pretty. You'll be able to see it better in thumbnail because I can take a photo of it and put it in. But there you go, guys. That is our nativity set. And I have to see it all laid out. And it is beautiful. All right. Now, look, I got a little bit of spot right there I want to fix. I'm going to use my marker to do that because I can see it. Let me make sure I get the brown one. If you make this, I want to see it. Now, you have a couple of places to share this with me, okay? I'd love to see your take on it and what you do different or how you do it better. If you want to share it with us, there's a couple places. One is our customer gallery, which is on maymaymadeit.com, and the other is on Discord, where we're having the best time. It is like a big chat room, and you guys need to come join us. I'll put the link to all of this in the description for you, but show us on Discord where we can all talk back and forth in real time about it because it's incredible. But put it on the gallery too, because other people are going to want to see it too. All right, guys, this is so boring for you. I'll put a picture in so you can see what it looks like. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a good time of year to be subscribing because I'm going to be putting out a lot of Christmas content, which I'm planning and I'm super excited about. So I hope you guys will join me for that. And until next time, bye now.